Hello everyone. I really want to thank you really for giving me the opportunity to present to you something that has been building for me for over 50 years. Piecemeal. It's like seeing parts here, parts there, parts here, parts there. And then about 6 months ago, I got by internet, I think from Eva, she triggered it, a letter that apparently, allegedly, Einstein wrote to his daughter that was in the Hebrew University archives and only now was made public, where he talked about that he discovered a power, a force that he could not explain anyway. So it triggered me. I said, I think I know what it is. So I started thinking about it, and I probably wrote 100 drafts of what I think, and it could not come together, could not come together, could not come together. But then I decided the best way to put it together is to speak about it. Because in the Serbian language or Slavic languages, to teach is to relearn, učit, naučit. So in other words, you learn by teaching. When you start teaching something, then you realize how much how ignorant you are, because as you present it, you realize your own weaknesses. So I said, I'm going to pick up the salon. These are people that are going to be forgiving for me to try something so presumptuous, which is a theory of everything. But I think I have something I want to share with you. So I want to...
Yeah, probably. How do we get it louder? But it's not very loud. That's why I asked.
Hello? Hello? Can I continue? There was some interruptions here. So, first of all, this is not what I know. What I'm going to talk about, it is not what I know, but what I think. I dare to think, hopefully to stimulate thinking in the audience, and I look forward, hopefully, to hear from your disagreements, because your disagreements will sharpen my thinking, and I might learn something from it. And if you agree, I will also appreciate it, because it will put me to peace with some parts of my thinking. So, this is really not even a first draft. It is a first beginning to put together something quite presumptuous. I still need to articulate it. What was holding me back all these 6 months is I did not have words to describe or to communicate what I wanted to say. Those words kind of like I felt don't exist. So I had to create some words. So you'll excuse me, again, for being so presumptuous and creating words. Okay? There's a lot of work to be done, and I look forward from hearing from you what you think. All right? The theory of everything. There was a Big Bang, right? So what happened when the Big Bang occurred? Time and space started. Now the question is, what was there before the Big Bang? Must be something that was not time and space bounded, because it started with a Big Bang. So whatever was before the Big Bang was not bounded by time and space. What is it? It cannot be nothing, because nothing cannot create everything. So what the hell was it? It is what I think, not that I know. I think. It was energy. Because energy is not time and not space limited. But we know that energy can be destructive or constructive. So now the question is, what will make the energy to be constructive, which was creation, right? First, I believe it has to be contributive. What does it mean? I bring sugar, you bring water, and together we'll make Coca-Cola. Because if we don't contribute, how are we going to create something? But it has to be contribution based on diversity. You are sugar, I'm water. If I bring water, you bring water, we are not going to create anything. It is a diversity that together create something. Diversity that exchanges information. If I understand, again, I may be very ignorant and I apologize for my ignorance, but I'm thinking, I dare to think, is in the human body, different organs communicate. There is exchange of information. Diversity exchanges information for a common interest. Why would I contribute unless there is common interest? I contribute because there is a common interest. How do I contribute? By exchanging information of my differences. But why would I contribute? Why would I believe that there is a common interest? Because I trust by contributing it will work out. The analogy I'm having is like paying taxes. I pay taxes to the system so that the system will be better in education, in health, in security, which I benefit from. But in order for me to do that, I have to trust the system. If the system is corrupt, why am I going to contribute? Why am I going to give taxes? So we exchange information for the common interest if there is mutual trust. But how do we exchange information? Only if there is mutual respect. What does it mean? I recognize, that's Immanuel Kant, it's not me, the philosopher, saying that respect is when you recognize the sovereignty, the undeniable right of the other party to think differently. Now look at the human body. We exchange information, but the liver is not trying to do the job of the kidney, and the kidney is not trying to do the job of the lungs, and the lungs not doing the job of the heart. They recognize each other, recognize. That's why I'm having difficulty with the language. In the human endeavors, I understand, it's called mutual respect and trust. What is it called in nature? I have no idea. But there is some consciousness that enables the system to work together. And it is that mutual respect and trust. And there will be, when there is mutual respect, there is learning. I learn from you, you learn from me. From diversity. Otherwise, it will not happen. If there is no diversity, there will be no learning. If two people agree on everything, one of them is unnecessary. That is Zen Buddhism expression. I learn from differences. In science, you learn from comparative systems. Anthropology, comparative literature, everything comparative. That's how you learn. As long as there is mutual respect, which means I recognize your right to think differently. Otherwise, if I say you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about, how am I going to learn from? There's going to be no learning. And for mutual trust, if there is mutual trust, for a common interest for which I contribute, there is mutual benefit. And what is mutual benefit? Symbiosis. And what is learning? Synergy. So for energy to be constructive, it has to be, I created a new word, symbiotic, which means symbiotic and synergetic together. What one of my clients in Mexico called prosperidad incluyente, inclusive prosperity. You grow by contributing and by sharing. Energy is constructive when it is symbiotic. If you have only symbiosis without synergy, we are sharing but it's not growing. If we are only synergy and no symbiosis, we are exchanging, we are learning, but we are not sharing. Has to be both. So energy, to be constructive, it needs to be symbiotic. And what makes it symbiotic is mutual trust and respect in human endeavors. What is it in nature? In natural sciences, I don't know, and I wish somebody will give me the word what it means. MTNR then is an algorithm. It's a formula that makes energy to be synergetic, that makes energy to be constructive consciousness. The comma there should not be. Constructive consciousness. So far, so good? Now I'm claiming that quality of energy is a function of MTNR. Quality of energy is a function of synergy. If there is no mutual trust and respect, energy is destructive. If there is mutual trust and respect, energy is constructive. If you don't recognize each other's rights to be different, if you're not willing to learn from each other, if you're not willing to share with each other what we create together, it will be destructive, by definition. So, a synergetic system is both symbiotic and synergetic. It is symbiotic when diverse elements cooperate. They will cooperate if there is mutual trust that there is common interest. It is synergetic when diverse elements exchange information for mutual learning, for which mutual respect is necessary. I hope I'm not going too fast. A synergetic system is a system that grows. I'm repeating the same thing multiple ways, in different ways, so hopefully to communicate it. By integrating a diversity, pay attention that the essence is diversity. In a desert, nothing grows. Sameness does not grow. Diversity causes growth, as long as there is symbiosis. So, synergetic system is a system that grows by integrating a diversity of elements to collaborate and cooperate, where the contributing elements benefit from the growth of the system. Otherwise, why would they contribute? That's why it's an ecosystem. In order for diverse elements to collaborate and cooperate, it requires, in human systems, mutual trust and respect. Since I have no equivalent words of this consciousness, mutual trust and respect is a consciousness, in nature or natural sciences, I will use the initials MT and MR to communicate them, okay? To communicate this consciousness. All right? Now we can start. The universe is a huge web ecosystem. It is composed of diverse subsystems that complement each other. I know that from the business world. I don't know about the natural sciences. I wish somebody will educate me. But in the business world, you have marketing, which is different from sales, which is different from production, which is different from accounting, which is different from human resources. Each one, they all complement each other to make the company work well. If one of them is not functioning, the company is suffering. So it's diverse subsystems that complement each other. They collaborate and cooperate to serve the system they pertain to in order to survive and grow. Each subsystem is contributing and is benefiting from the system it contributed to. And what makes it work is mutual trust and respect. Without it, without diversity based on mutual respect, and commonality of interest, the common good, based on mutual trust, the system is dysfunctional, it will disintegrate. That's it. That's my theory. Now I'm going to make applications to see how it works. Ready? Look at this. Energy to be constructive needs diversity and common interest. For those of you who heard my last lecture, I use a hand as an example, as an analogy. Different fingers working together. That's what makes a hand. If the fingers are not different, you don't have a hand. You have a paralyzed hand. We need diversity working together for a common interest. And what is diversity? Competition. And what's common interest? Cooperation. Do you see the conflict? Diversity and commonality are in conflict. Somebody told me I'm Hegelian. I never studied philosophy. I don't know it's Hegelian. I have no idea. I'm just telling you what I think. And look at the cooperation. For cooperation, you need regulated society. For competition, you need market economy. Do you see the conflict? And what is this? Capitalism. And what is this? Socialism. And what is this? I look at the Democratic Party as a diluted socialism. And here is the Republican Party. And what do we need? Both. And what is it called? Values-driven capitalism. Only cooperation and common interest without growth, no good. Growth without sharing, no good. As Churchill said, capitalism is an unequal distribution of wealth, and socialism is an equal distribution of poverty. We need both. The Prime Minister of Macedonia that I was consulting to said to me, you Americans are very smart. You have the Republicans and Democratic parties. The Republicans build the economy, the Democratic share it. If you had only the Republicans, there would be such a differentiation in income, it would be terrible. If you had only the Democratic Party, it would not be growing. You need both. That's it. Synergy is achieved in the market economy with competitive diversity, respecting each other's right to compete, thus antitrust laws. You see the mutual respect? Respecting each other's right to compete. Because monopoly does not respect. It takes over and suffocates competition. You want to maintain competition within rules. And what are the rules? Respect each other's right to exist. That's why the antitrust laws. And trusting the hidden hand to realize common interest. That's Adam Smith. The hidden hand, the forces of the market. Let the market work. It will find the common interest regulating itself. The unfortunate thing, what's happening is that the right side of my chart is taking over, regulated economy. The hidden hand is becoming more and more obvious. It's not hidden hand anymore. It's a government hand, trying to manage what is a common interest. We need both. But how about political parties that do not accept diversity of ideologies? See, we need diversity and common, right? They don't accept diversity. Who are they? Communism, fascism. They use a democratic system to suffocate democracy. No mutual respect. No good. In my theory, should be forbidden. You should not allow that destroys what you want to build. How about religions? How about religions that are missionary? Our way and no way. Radical Islam, which is now we are observing it happening now. There is a Islam will dominate, and anybody which is not Islam, we behead them. What is the mutual respect here? How about the church during the Inquisition? How about radical Jewish? Well, that's different. We are special, we don't accept anybody else, but we are not missionary. So we accept others. Just leave us alone. That's not bad. What is bad is when it becomes missionary. You have to be like me. That is when you lose the mutual respect. Albanian Muslims, for instance, which saved my life during the Second World War, they recognize all other religions. They are not missionary. That's okay. Or the Baha'i religion. It's okay. Mutual respect means mutual tolerance. Let's go apply it now to the planet Earth. Humanity is a subsystem of the planetary system. There are other subsystems: water, air, fauna, flora. Do we have a common interest with them, with other subsystems? Are we serving or exploiting the other subsystems of the planet? Do we recognize the right of others to exist, which is a mutual trust and mutual respect? How about genetic engineering? How about cloning? Without diverse inputs, learning from each other with mutual respect, sharing commonality of interest, the common good, based on mutual trust, the system will be dysfunctional, it will disintegrate. Like, bring an alien fish into the lake. They don't recognize the right of others, right? They take over and they destroy the lake. Or bring an alien weed into your garden. Does not belong to this ecosystem. And they just take over and destroy the garden, right? Cancer does not recognize the right of other organs to be what they are. They want to make them what it is. You are cancer too, and you're a cancer too. Everybody has to be cancer. That's how it spreads. Cancer taking energy, not giving energy. And now the big question. Is humanity, as is, cancerous to the planet? We're destroying the system we belong to by not practicing MTNR. We need diversity. No species survives on its own. It is a Jewish expression. Lo tov adam levado. No person should be alone. Try being alone in an isolation cell. You commit suicide. Look what happened to COVID. People are depressed. There is a lot of suicides. We need common interest. You will not pay taxes if you don't trust the system. Or just imagine a pie that's not growing. Now we are competing. Who is going to get a bigger piece of the pie? If you take a bigger piece of the pie, I will have a smaller piece of the pie. We are going to fight. We don't have a common interest. But if I contribute to the pie to make it bigger, and in doing so, I take a bigger piece of the pie than you, that's okay. You know why? Because you made the pie bigger. There is more for me too. If we perceive a growing pie, we will not fight entrepreneurs. If we perceive a fixed pie or declining pie, we will fight the entrepreneurs and try to destroy them. And that's what's starting to happen in America. Anti-entrepreneurial spirit, anti-business spirit. Why? Because perception is that the pie is not growing anymore. So all those that have money, oh, they're stealing from me. Like this Ortiz, whatever his name is, from the Congress, she was interviewed and the interviewer told her, but those billionaires made it. She said they did not made it. They took it. What does it mean? Fixed pie. They are not contributing, they are taking. Let's apply it to personal life. When the organs, the cells, exchange information and collaborate, there is MR. And when they serve each other, which is a cooperate now, there is MT. The system is synergetically integrated, it's healthy. When the organs stop exchanging information, the electrical system does not work. Stop collaborating. Stop serving each other. The system is disintegrating. It's unhealthy. when you live in peace with yourself, comfortable in your own skin, able to learn from disagreements that you have with your own self, by the way, is to respect your own disagreements in your head. So you learn from it. What do you think? I'm comfortable with my own disagreements. There is self-respect. And I trust myself to make a decision and not to follow all the time what other people tell me because they don't trust myself. When I have self-respect and self-trust, when I have self-esteem, I'm mentally healthy. When you lose your self-esteem, you don't trust yourself, you don't respect yourself, you have a problem. You are falling apart, it's called. You're not having it all together. Now let's go one step more. Now I'm really getting on a limb. How does this idea apply to what is God? It has been preoccupying me a lot, by the way, for many years. Where is God? What is God's will? Let's start. Energy to be constructive, all right, ready? Has to be contributive with diversity that exchanges information for the common interest, common good, for which you need mutual trust, for which you need mutual respect, which will cause learning and mutual benefit, which will cause symbiosis and synergy, will cause a symbiotic system which is constructive. So far so good, we repeated it. Now look at this. So energy to be constructive needs MTNR. MTNR makes this energy to be symbiotic. Look at it this way. MTNR, when you put it into energy, it makes the energy to be symbiotic and synergetic. And when that energy, that symbiotic energy, is applied to a diverse elements, diversity, ongoing creation happens. Probably in chemistry. I don't know natural sciences. I'm dying for people to help me out. Now the question, because we're talking about God now, not chemistry, what are those elements of creation that the energy, the symbiotic energy that existed before the Big Bang? Before the Big Bang existed, this consciousness of MTNR and energy. MTNR and energy created symbiotic energy applied to the diversified elements creation. All right, let's interpret the Bible and see what it is. Alrighty? In the beginning, God created heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty, darkness over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God hovering over the waters. And God separated the light from darkness, and God called the light day, and the darkness He called night. Nice. Let's interpret it. First of all, before the Big Bang creation, it was a mess. In Hebrew, it's called tohu vavohu, formless, a mess. But now watch it. There was earth. Earth was formless and empty. There was earth. There was darkness, which is opposite of light, which is energy. Spirit of God. Now, Spirit of God in English is not as clear as in Hebrew. In Hebrew, it's called Ruach Elohim, wind of God, air of God. Spirit, air. In Hebrew, it's air. In the original, it's air, Ruach Elohim. Air was there. So we had earth was there, light was there, energy was there, air was there, and water was there. All the four elements. By the way, it goes also from early philosophers talking about the four elements. They were all there. Now look what he did. He separated light from darkness. And he called them by name. Separated the mess and called them by name. Your day, your night, your water, your earth, your this, your that. Jokingly, I told to my associate yesterday when I was preparing, I think God was a consultant. He put an order to the mess. He took a mess and said, guys, slow down. Let's put an organization here. Who is who? What is your name? What the hell do you do? What is your role? All elements were there. God put order to the system, separated day from night, separated water from below, water above, separated earth from earth, gave the each elements a name. That is mutual respect. Look at it. It goes beyond that. Look at the next one. Very interesting. And God said, let the land produce living creatures according to their kind, and livestock. They move along the ground, and the wild animals, each according to its kind. God made the wild animals according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and all the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds. Pay attention to the words. According to its kind. According to its kind. According to its kind. According to its kind. What is it? Diversity with mutual respect. You are you, I am me. You are you, he is he. Hey guys, Immanuel Kant, respect the sovereignty of each other to be different. Look at this, let's continue. And God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so they may rule over the fish of the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, over the creatures that move. So God created mankind in his own image. Mankind in his own image. And what is that? Male and female. Wait a moment. All this discussion, is God male or female? He is both. He is both. Plus and minus. And we'll see now what the minus is very soon. I still have time. I have 5 minutes. You need both male and female energies. Complementary energies. And then he gave you seed-bearing plants that will be for food. And I give you all of it for food. What is that? Give every green plant for food. That is your symbiosis. He created diversity based on mutual respect of each other's differences that interdependently feed each other, which is a symbiosis. All creations come from collaborative diversity only if there is mutual trust and respect. Here it is. All right, God is not Father in heaven. I believe it's a legacy from Zeus. On the mount, on the Mount Olympus, looking down and having children with humans. It has no shape and no form. God is an algorithm, a formula that converts the ever-existent energy into a symbiotic, synergetic consciousness, which when applied to diverse complementary elements, produces a continuous creation. It's a passport to a system that makes the operating system work. If the passport does not work, the operating system does not work, and we have a broken computer. If we don't follow mutual trust and respect, it is not symbiotic energy, it is destructive energy, and we have a broken system. All creation is symbiotic. Look at any organic system. There is diversity of functions and commonality of interest. Synergy and symbiosis, mutual trust and respect. For instance, a forest. I was just reading an article in the New York Times. A forest is an ecosystem which cooperates, exchanges information. There is synergy and symbiosis. Any ecosystem. And what is absolute mutual trust and respect? What is absolute unconditional integration? Which energetic consciousness has no limits, is based on absolute trust and respect. Feeling of oneness. Your pain is my pain, your happiness is my happiness, your interest is my interest. Absolute trust and respect. What is it called? Love. And that's why we say God is love. Because it's absolute MTNR. It's not a Father on heaven loving you. It's a formula. Love has no time and space limits. It is a symbiotic, synergetic, conscious energy. And I suggest to you that a healthy creation is based on love. Look at a fine artist. Fine artist is not doing it for the money. The moment he does it for the money, it's not fine art. It's commercial art. In fine art, you do it because you can't help it not to do it. Because you're in love with what you do. Founder of a company, if he's starting a company to make money, he will go bankrupt. He's doing it because he can't help it. He has a mission, he has a dream, he has a need that he identifies like a mother gives birth to a baby, not because it's going to be a Nobel Prize winner or it's going to be a very famous scientist, because she can't help it. She's in love. Founders of countries, they sacrifice their life, they're in love with a mission. An innovator is in love with his innovation. All creation starts with love. And God is the creation. And what is it? Symbiotic, synergetic consciousness, which makes the energy to be synergetic, symbiotic energy. How about destructive energy? Let's do that. Give me 5 more minutes. Let's go. Try it. For constructive, we need contribution. In destructive, it's self-centered. You don't contribute, you take. Instead of diversity, we aim for sameness. And instead of exchange of information, you monopolize information. And instead of common interest, you have competitive interest. My interest, it should be really, Instead of common interest, you have competitive interest. And instead of mutual trust, there is mutual mistrust. And instead of mutual respect, there is mutual intolerance. Instead of learning, there is ignorance. Instead of mutual trust, benefit, there is self-serving. And what happened here? Instead of symbiosis, you have exploitation. And instead of synergy, you get deterioration. Here you get a symbiotic system. And here you get dysynergy. Here you get living. And here you get dying. MTNR applied to energy creates symbiotic energy. Symbiotic energy applied to diverse elements makes a creation, a functional system. that is constantly recreating itself, all the time recreating itself. And what is MTNR already said? Love and God. That's what it is, for me. How about destruction? Intolerance, applied to energy, you get destructive energy. Destructive energy creates ongoing disintegration and creates an ecosystem in crisis. And that's what we are going through right now. When there is absolute MTNR, absolute integration, synergetic energy, love, there is no waste of energy. Without synergy, there is disintegration, hate, energy gets wasted because the system is not working. They're fighting each other. The energy is wasted on internal conflicts. What does it tell you? Love prolongs life and hate shortens life. Look at people in love, shiny eyes, full with energy. Eva, Yoel. And look at people that hate, like squeezed lemons, older than age. The more MTNR, the more love, the longer you live. Absolute MTNR, absolute integration, love. Absolute mistrust and disrespect, absolute disintegration, hate. Now interesting, are love and hate related? You cannot create something new without replacing something old. By the way, Schumpeter already said it. Constructive and destructive energies are mirrors of each other. There is no plus without a minus. There is no masculine energy without feminine energy. They are not the opposite. They are one, mirroring each other. Look at this. Hot and cold, darkness and light, lit moon, dark moon, love and hate, God and devil are not opposites. One is the absence of the other. Darkness is a lack of light. Hate is a lack of love. And the devil is there when there is no God. Remove MTNR and you get hate. Since God is love and love is absolute MTNR, hate will emerge when there is no MTNR. Do not curse the darkness, light the candle. I did not say it, somebody else said it. Do not hate hate. Just love and hate will disappear. Follow God and there will be no hate, no devil. There is no creation without destruction, but not every destruction is constructive. There is destruction that only destroys. Destruction is constructive when it's done with mutual trust and respect. You can destroy with mutual trust and respect. Why? Because you're building something new. That's okay. Something new and better. Disagreements are constructive when conducted respectfully. Respectfully means I recognize your right to think differently. When we learn from our disagreements, that's why I ask you, please disagree with me. I love people that beat me in my argument. You know why? Because then I learn. We contribute and share because we trust that there is common interest. And here it is, political ideologies, fanatic missionary religions, nationalism, racism that exclude others, sexual dominance, women are second class. They're all no MTNR. They're destructive without being constructive. And here is the end of my presentation. How change is impacting what I'm telling you. Change produces conflict. Why? Because there are differences of opinion and interest on what the solution should be, so we are in conflict. Thus, change challenges mutual trust and respect. The more change, the more difficulty to keep mutual trust and respect. Because we have conflict of interest and opinions. Thus, because change is happening by itself, you don't have to do anything. MTNR is in danger all the time because of change. So unless MTNR is actively, ongoingly nourished, MTNR, love, will atrophy because of change by itself. Just do nothing. Your muscles will atrophy. Just do nothing. And hate will replace love. Unless we actively build and nourish MTNR, as change is accelerating, MTNR is in danger more than ever before, and anti-Semitism, racism, women abuse is on the rise. Change can be constructive or destructive, for better or for worse, depending on whether our solution, our actions, are based on MTNR or not. MTNR does not happen by itself. It needs to be nourished. God has to be sought after. The devil happens by itself. There is nothing for you to do for that. Entropy happens by itself. By doing nothing. Just do nothing. Hate will happen. Love needs to be continuously reinforced. As one of my clients said, one honeymoon is not good enough for a lifetime of marriage. Or it will be replaced by hate. Since all living systems are symbiotic, for which MTNR is necessary, God is everywhere and in everything. Because symbiosis, symbiotic, is everywhere, in everything. Everything alive is symbiotic. Anything that has a life cycle. Now the question, is God in a rock? You said in everything. Is he in a rock? A rock has no MTNR consciousness. That is why it disintegrates. A human that does not practice MTNR has no symbiotic consciousness. Is he human? Apropos Nazi Germany. So what is God's will? God is an algorithm. Where is he? Everywhere. What is his will? Honor each other's differences. Learn from each other's differences. Contribute and share what you create together for the common good. And look at this, the Ten Commandments. Very interesting, the Ten Commandments. Look at that. What is I am the Lord? Integration, unity. Integration. You shall not worship a false god. What are false gods? One that promote intolerance and mistrust. These are the false gods. Because God is tolerance and respect. You should never take my name in vain. Trust. Don't break trust. Keep the Sabbath. Integration. Honor your father, mother. Respect. No murder. Trust and respect. No commit adultery. Trust and respect. Not stealing. Trust and respect. Not lying. Trust. Don't steal. Trust and respect. To serve God means to practice MTNR. All this praying, just practice MTNR. Change what is causing not to respect each other's differences. Change what is costing us not to trust each other and to contribute for the common good. And what is it called? Tikkun Olam. Repair the world. That is our mission. I truly appreciate any criticism, any feedback. Whatever is right you think, support, or what is wrong, tell me why so I can learn. Thank you in advance. Thank you.